Welcome back. Welcome back to our Friday, our day 2. Wilk, would you like to call us to order?
Yes, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to, I don't know if I got a microphone. There we go. Welcome back, everyone. We're going to call this morning's plenary to session. And here we go. This morning's theme is, what are we doing in communities? Sorry, my eyes aren't working very good this morning.
It's still early.
It is.
They're not up yet.
I know you're I know for sure that you're going to enjoy what we have in store, and just shout it out. How much have you enjoyed what we've been able to go over so far?
Yeah, it's been really amazing. I think we talked a little bit at the afternoon plenary about how incredible yesterday morning sessions were. I think one of the biggest challenges that some of you have expressed to me, and certainly I feel, is how do you decide where to go? How do you choose between all of the great conversations and all the opportunities? And it's a difficult choice, and I see you all trying to make it. We learned so much yesterday, not just from a programming standpoint. And let's talk about the play. I heard the play was amazing. The people doing the play. I got to see the debate. The debate was just, it was powerful. The process of that debate structure is, it's really transformative. And if you haven't had a chance, try to get to the one tonight. It's absolutely amazing to see how we can bring that back to our communities, to our neighborhoods. And then my co-chair over here had a nice little session right here. Not little, by little I mean a lot of people in this room. It was amazing. You and Dr. Francis Collins, incredible conversation about health, about trust in government. I think it's a really, really critical dialogue that they're going to continue to have. And if you missed any of those, we're sorry, but you can also get the Cliff Notes from this one. The other thing that we learned is a little bit about the flow of things and the space that we're in. And certainly this amazing venue and how hard the entire team is working. And one of the things Wilk and I were talking about is this delicate balance of making sure that we honor the spirit of the timelines and all of that, and also honor the spirit of the time that you're spending with us and making sure that it's valuable to you and you're spending it in the way that you want and you're getting the meaningful conversation and the dialogue and that you're not feeling too rushed. So we are going to do our absolute best to do a little bit of both, where we're going to acknowledge we're going to run a little long here or we're going to start a little late there to give people time and space for the weather and for this time and just getting lost and having food and having conversation. But then we're also going to do our best to stay on the time clock. So what we can commit to you is that when we do have a shift in the schedule, we'll tell you what the new times are at these plenaries and share them with some of the leaders of the breakout sessions. So you will be informed, but we want you to be safe. We want you to enjoy yourselves, and we want you to feel like you've got some structure, but also some flexibility. So that's our plan. And we want to thank certainly the Braver Angels team and all of you for your flexibility on that. And feel free to reach out to us if you have any suggestions for other things that we can do.
So as we said, we've got some incredible content in store for you today. After this morning's plenary, we're going to go to our breakouts, then lunch, then another plenary, more breakouts, and then special gatherings, dinner, and things tonight. All optional. Just try to, like Erica said, take in as much as possible. Take as much away from this as possible. So now, what we'd like to do is we'd like to introduce Barbara Thomas, the outgoing Blue co-chair of Braver Angels Office of Field Operations, and also Steve Saltwick, the Red co-founder of the Office of Field Operations, to the stage. Steve Saltwick, again, is the Red co-founder of the Braver Angels National Field Office of Operations, and Barbara is his Blue counterpart, the co-chair of the Office of Field Operations. Steve and Barbara, take it away.
Thank you. Whoop. We're here to talk about the field. Volunteers at the grassroots level who progress the mission of Braver Angels.
We want you to know about our volunteers, what they do as a group, to meet a few of them, to hear how proud we are of them and their contributions, and most importantly, to thank them for their service.
So howdy, I'm Steve Saltwick, and I lean red, but I wear blue today in honor of all my non-red friends. Several years ago, I founded a team specializing in the support of field volunteers. Now, I'm a red, wearing blue, I know. And I knew the Braver Angel way required me to actively seek a complementary co-chair. Since Donna Murphy, hi Donna, talked me into the job, and if you know Donna, you know what I'm talking about. I asked Donna for help, and she helped me find a fantastic blue co-chair, Riley Hart. Hi, Riley.
Hi, Steve.
Riley and I began a journey together, which has been one of the most rewarding in my life. As the field grew, we knew we needed more help, and we needed to create a culture of leadership transition to keep the team fresh. So Lynn Hetty, who couldn't be with us today, or else she would be saying, hi, Steve, joined me as the blue chair of the Office of Field Operations. We had a blast growing the team and supporting the field. We then transitioned out, and Barbara and April Chatham Carpenter transitioned in to lead the team going forward. That left me free to wander the tumbleweeds plains of Texas, carrying my sign of hope. And a note to all of those in your room, always carry your sign because you never know when utopia will present itself.
And I'm Barbara Thomas. I lean blue and I wear red in honor of all my non-blue friends. I want to give a shout out to one red in particular, my husband, Rick. We were both very concerned about the polarization that was tearing families, communities, and the country apart. So when we retired, we both wanted to look for a way to be some small part of the solution. Rick discovered Braver Angels, and we jumped in with both feet. We started doing public outreach to spread the word. This photo is from our trip to Freedom Fest, a national gathering of libertarians. We staffed a booth, a Braver Angels booth in their exhibit hall. It was an amazing experience, and we got to see Mount Rushmore in the process. After that, as Steve mentioned, April Chatham Carpenter and I joined the Office of Field Operations, and we spent the last 2 years supporting our volunteers all over the country. We've now passed the baton onto the new leadership of that team, and I'm really excited to be here today, offering a glimpse of the many amazing people who help work the Braver Angels magic.
Now, if you know Bill Doherty, you know you cannot start a presentation at Braver Angels without desired outcomes. Now, these are not goals. These are things you walk away with from the presentation. So for this plenary, these are our desired outcomes. An appreciation for the breadth and the depth of our grassroots organization. Braver Angels has about 100 local chapters called alliances. This number is growing. That gives us incredible opportunities to touch the lives of local communities and show the impact of Braver Angels and the Braver Angel way. And it takes not just a village of volunteers, it takes an entire community of supporters. And we're going to present them to you this morning. We also want recognition of the impact. Braver Angel volunteers are active in their community, not as advocates of any particular position. We're not lobbyists. We are catalysts of a method which engages across political boundaries, avoids toxic polarized engagement, and forges common ground whenever possible. You will hear 3 examples of that this morning. And finally, we hope you share our excitement of scaling the local actions to help ignite a movement called civic renewal. Now, how will we accomplish this? With this agenda. First, we're going to present some key roles and responsibilities of our field volunteers. We'll highlight some personal stories to make it real. Second, we're going to have a panel discussion involving 3 separate teams progressing the mission with impact. One will involve solutions for homelessness. Another will involve outreach to school communities, both teens and school boards. And the final will involve real politicians in adopting real Braver Angel skills for legislative interactions. And then third, we'll sketch our approach to scale. We cannot do it all within Braver Angels. We need a network of organizations to complete our mission and change the culture of political engagement. Our goal here is to set the stage for the afternoon plenary with David Lapp and the Braver Network organization. And then finally, we have some special announcements and an award. So hang on, buckle up, and get prepared for a tour of the field.
So, Braver citizens are the volunteers at the heart of Braver Angels. They fulfill a variety of roles, which we'll describe in just a moment. They're supported by other teams of volunteers and a small number of staff. Some focus on event development and delivery, and some focus on field operations. On the next set of slides, we're going to present a range of volunteer roles. Each role is significant to the delivery of the Braver Angels mission. Many in the audience might not be familiar with these roles, so we're going to define their essential characteristics. For the long-term members who know these roles well, we ask that you support us in answering questions from those who wish to know more, but please, after the talk. Each group seeks more volunteers. There's more information on our national website, and online training is available to fit most lifestyles. If anyone would like to help progress the mission by taking on one of these roles, we would welcome you. Also, each group and individual we represent is worthy of applause, but we ask that you hold your applause until the end of this segment when we can recognize all roles together. So, moderators lead our signature workshops, both in person and online. They deliver content, facilitate structured conversations, lead a variety of well-tested exercises by establishing and enforcing ground rules. Moderators create an environment in which participants can explore challenging political topics and learn more about themselves as well as the issues. Moderators are experienced in group facilitation. They're comfortable in group processes across a wide variety of citizens. This is a workshop with teens. Moderators are people who have respect for both sides, who won't respond to getting their buttons pushed. They create a space where everyone feels respected. They do need facilitation experience, but they don't have to be professionals. We would love to show you a picture of all of our moderators, but the squares would be very small because there's about 700 active in Braver Angels right now. So we've picked 2 moderators to give you a glimpse of the type of people that they are. Randy Freeman is an active moderator who lives in New York State. She joined Braver Angels in 2017. She has 6 grandchildren and has presented Braver Angels workshops to them to practice her moderating skills. Mary Thomas Valens, universally known as Mary TV, is a moderator who lives in California, and she joined in 2019. Mary is active both in person and online, and especially in school communities. She's known for offering Greek dance lessons when people need a break. We asked Randy and Mary for a quote that best reflects their experience in Braver Angels, and we're going to do that for each pair that we present today. They felt that the poet Edwin Markham captured the essence with these lines. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle and took him in. Wait, please wait.
They are absolutely, every one of them, worthy of applause, but we're going to get in trouble if we run too late, right? And so just hold your applause to the end, and then we'll have a big round for everybody. Now, debates are the other signature offerings of Braver Angels. Again, both in person and online. Participants collaboratively search for the truth in an exciting and fun way. Debates are especially active on college campuses. Debates use resolutions that might be controversial to encourage speech from both sides. And unlike some of our workshops, they're not associated with red and blue, but pro and con. The debate chair ensures that a balanced and lively debate runs smoothly using a modified parliamentary format. Debate whips interact with potential speakers and answer questions from participants. Debate chairs are comfortable in a high-energy public atmosphere, and debate whips are adept at multitasking among participants. Again, we'd love to show you a picture of all our debate volunteers, but there's about 400 of them, so we're going to pick two and give you a glimpse of the type of people they are. Esther Cash lives in California and joined in 2020. Esther is active in in-person debates at Biola University, where she's a student, and she's also a dance choreographer. Reek LeCount lives in Georgia and joined in 2022. He's active in online national debates, and he has lived in 9 states and 3 continents. We also asked Esther and Rick for a quote that best reflects their experience in Braver Angels. And they said, creating a space where controversial issues can be discussed in a respectful manner is key to renewing the habits of good citizenship. We're thrilled to be a part of that, from college campuses to national forums.
So how do people get into the room, or Zoom, where the moderators lead a transformational experience? Because of the work of organizers. Organizers are those detail-oriented planners who make the magic happen to get the people there and ready for the experience. Without them, the experience would not happen, or would not be advertised, or would just be too chaotic to be impactful. But thankfully, they have great people skills and use the Braver Angels way to keep everyone informed and engaged while being flexible and maintaining a sense of humor when things inevitably don't work as planned. We have over 150 active ones, and we want to share these with you today. Yvonne Boyd lives in Washington State and joined in 2020. She's an active part of BA's core organizer team and has played critical roles in its development over time. A little-known fact about Yvonne is that she played touch rugby in her 30s and represented England in the World Masters in 97 and 99. Bruce France lives in New York and joined in 2018. He co-led the organizer effort in the early days with Lynn Hetty and then Ron Hetty, and finally with Mary Beth Stibbons. Bruce and his wife Wendy were gymnasts in college and later performed in shows in the Northeast. They then entertained at parties by having Wendy stand on Bruce's shoulders. For their quote, they wanted to share this thought. Like a fine Swiss clock, organizing a workshop contains a lot of moving parts. We've learned to love the thrill of the unexpected.
Whoops. Can we get the slides back? There we go. All right. In an online workshop, once the organizers have worked their magic, and before the moderators can work their magic, there's one more step: the Zoom room. Now, one rule that keeps the Zoom room from becoming the doom room is the role of the Zoom event manager, or ZEM for short. ZEMs work a variety of tasks to make sure the experience is welcoming as well as productive. I mean, they do the basics like letting people in from the breakout room. But they also do the work of managing, letting people in from the waiting room, right? They do the work of managing the breakout room, including the people who drop off and the people who Zoom somehow refuses to put into breakout rooms, right? A subset of the ZEMs help manage interaction with participants during sharing. They assist the moderators in calling on people and ensuring a balance of voices are heard in the sharing. Other ZEMs manage participants in debates by interacting with people who wish to speak. This is called whipping, not for real, just in the parliamentary sense. All right? It can be intense, but it's intensely rewarding. There's nothing quite like managing a large Zoom room of people who learn a skill that will help them in their lives, their community, as well as the nation. So today we have over 300 volunteers in these roles. They are awesome, and we thought you'd like to hear from these two. Sarah Yu lives in Virginia and joined in 2017. She's active in supporting both local and national workshops. Sarah and her husband come from different political parties. Early on, she gave him a mixtape of folk songs labeled Allen's Liberal Indoctrination Mix. Her subtle ploy did not work, but they've been happily married nonetheless as a red-blue couple for 18 years. Yeah, no. All right. Abe Dana lives in Texas and joined in 2019. He's active in supporting national online workshops. Those who know Abe know that he has a severe disability in spatial orientation and gets lost easily. So once he got pulled over for a missing headlight on his car. When he assured the cop he was almost home and gave his address, the cop gave him a sobriety test, which he passed, right? The cop said, I figured nobody sober could be that clueless as to their whereabouts. Right? Now, Abe and Sarah's quote is, we love the camaraderie of working without regard to political leanings with others on a team to make these events run as well as can be. We love pairing up random strangers from across the political spectrum and watching them leave the workshop as friends.
The beating heart of Braver Angels is our grassroots organization. The local community chapters are called alliances. Alliances are where citizens come together to progress the mission, to bridge the partisan divide, and strengthen our democratic republic. Alliances operate with a large amount of freedom so that they can best engage their community. They must have balanced leadership of red, blue, and other. They follow a set of guiding principles. They aspire to a balance of membership. But in the end, they engage in discussion, in skill building, and in building capacities for good citizenship. Alliances also demonstrate the impact of Braver Angel Way in community life, and you're going to hear some of those examples shortly. Alliance co-chairs are members who wish to make a personal difference in the civic life of their community. They advance the mission by demonstrating that progress and hope are possible. The work is intense but personally rewarding at an intimate level. Co-chairs strive to rotate, to share the experience and the load across members of their alliance. Today, we're blessed with over 200 volunteers in these roles, and we thought you might like to hear from these two. Carl Schmaltz lives in Texas and joined in 2018. He's the Red co-chair of the Braver Angels of Central Texas. And once, when competing in a local horse show, he received second place ribbon despite getting bucked off over the final jump. He landed on the ground past the finish line, so it counted, and the ribbon remains a prized possession. Ellie Sears joined in 2021. She lives in California and is the Blue co-chair of the San Francisco Alliance. In her freshman year at UCLA, she was invited to the Hollywood premiere of Lawrence of Arabia and ended up sitting right across the aisle from Omar Sharif, the star of the movie. She said he was so handsome she could hardly concentrate on the film. So they would like to share this thought. We care deeply about bringing the BA way to as many people as we can because every encounter can have meaningful impact, whether recognized in the moment or not. We value our teams, everyone's contribution to the effort, and the reciprocal benefits of enduring friendship and inspiration are never ending.
Now, what about the rest of the field leadership structure, the states, the regions? Here, the overall goal is to nurture well-functioning alliances which are in sync with our mission and our vision, and to represent Braver Angels as an organization within the state or the region. State coordinators are the focal point of our organization within the state. That does not mean that state coordinators lead all activities, but it means they're aware of them. Many do choose to lead service projects, as shown here, to raise awareness of our mission. Regional leads help sustain the mission over an area of several states. As of today, we have 9 regions to cover the United States. Regional leads help ensure that the states and the alliances in their area share best practices and avoid the worst. They mentor the field leadership in support of the formation of new alliances and in the development of the volunteer base. There's almost 100 senior volunteers in Braver Angels fulfilling these roles as we speak, and they are essential to the power of the Braver Angel Way and a key to our success. We'd like to learn from these two. Carlos Hernandez lives in California and joined in 2019. Carlos is the red lead for the Pacific region, and he's finished 4 marathons, 3 in New York City and 1 with the Marine Corps Marathon in Washington, D.C. He said the fun part with training with others. David Joseph joined in 2020 and is the Michigan State Coordinator. David graduated from the University of Detroit in 1992, the same year that it became the University of Detroit Mercy. So he received 2 diplomas. a red one from the University of Detroit, and you got it, a blue one from the University of Detroit, Mercy. So the red and blue diplomas were foreshadowing his future work. Their quote is, "We enjoy the challenge and the experience of expanding the grassroots at the state and the regional level. We value the relationships and the friendships that BA helps foster, and the work restores our hope for America."
So by now, you're probably getting the feeling that managing the development and delivery of this range of offerings is complicated, and you'd be right. There are 71 different types of Braver Angels events, coordinated over a dozen teams, so what could go wrong? And how about ensuring that the workshops are kept up to date and optimized for delivery? Well, that's the function of many support teams collectively called the Event Development and Delivery. This area has volunteer teams for the maintenance of the workshops and all the offerings, the development of training for moderators and organizers and other communities, as well as the coordination of planning across a growing number of people and sub-teams. Many in BA might not even know of their existence, but it's not an overstatement to say that these groups are critical for us to grow, progress the mission, and ignite that civic renewal movement. So, Stan Levine lives in North Carolina and joined in 2020. Stan currently heads up the dev team that does that workshop development and maintenance. He's fondly known as the BA troublemaker because he always likes to ask those questions to improve our processes and products in a uniquely Stan way. John Schwenkler lives in Georgia and joined in 2020. John oversaw the workshop development team before Stan, and he's been an integral part of the faith-sponsored workshop effort. John is known for making time for BA even when he's taking care of his 14 grandchildren. Their quote is, "We come from project management and product development backgrounds. We're frequently in awe of the experience, talent, and dedication of the Braver Angels volunteer. They are the reasons why our offerings will have impact and help the country."
Now, we hope everyone in this room is an ambassador for Braver Angels. But we also feel that a formal program with training and support is critical to our continued success. We need to inform people and partners about Braver Angels, to reach out to people who at first might not be willing to come to a group workshop or other offering. So those in the ambassador program have a passion for the mission and a comfort with public speaking. They like participating in Toastmasters, giving elevator pitches, writing op-eds, and even running for public office, like Greg here. There are over 200 ambassadors, and we wanted you to hear from these two. Linda Beck lives in Pennsylvania and joined in 2019 and founded our ambassador program. Linda once won a toenail painting contest by writing "Vote Nixon" on her toes. Now, this was with her dad's help because she was in the first grade. Now, she used the prize money to buy a pair of go-go boots. Now, Ron McFarland lives in Iowa. Ron joined in 2019. He's part of the ambassador leadership team. Ron has a blog with over 250 stories about faith, and he has a unique dislike for chocolate. Now, Linda and Ron work together on this quote: "Our dedication and commitment to fostering unity through dialogue and Braver Angels truly embodies the words of Frederick Douglass. I would unite with anyone to do right and with nobody to do wrong."
So we've told you about the 2,000 some volunteers in the organization today. We've highlighted the roles of many, but there are many more who give their time and talents in independent projects too numerous to list. They have our heartfelt thanks. They are young and they are old. Steve and I prefer seasoned. They're urban, they're rural, they're conservative, they're liberal, they're independent, they're brown, they're black, they're white, and many of them are in this room. So if you are a volunteer for Braver Angels, would you please stand if you're able?
And let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you. So we have presented a large array of volunteer roles, and representatives of those roles. They're all contributing to progressing the mission. They're all contributing to the spirit of volunteering that's unmatched by many organizations. But there's a more fundamental reason we all contribute. It's to help real people with real challenges, the Braver Angels way. Sometimes it's people in their families and personal lives. Sometimes it's people in their community. And in time, it will be people all across the nation. So let's hear a story about a Braver Angel's impact on a family, the Fergusons. Reverend Erica and William, please come up on stage and share your story about how Braver Angels and its volunteers touched your lives as well as your family. While they come up, I just want to say we're interested in hearing your stories of impact as well. We have a way of collecting these stories on the Field Leaders portal. You'll find instructions on how to submit your story if you go to the poster session here at the convention, and we'll explain later how to find that. But first, let's hear from the Fergusons.
Good morning. Call and response. I like that. You guys are well trained. I'd first like my husband to do a little bit of the front loading of our story.
Where shall we begin? See, I thought I was coming in the middle, so we found ourselves in a situation that led Erica to discover Braver Angels, but the offshoot of it was we found ourselves in quarantine during the COVID quarantine, and we had issues that we had to work through with everybody living back in the house again. There were 9 of us, and we had just been introduced to Braver Angels, and so we incorporated the Braver Angels thinking in many ways into what we call family time. And because we're going to be discussing this, and because 2 of our 5 kids are more politically minded, we invited them. Will you stand up? This is Alex and Aaron. They would say the best 2 of the 5. I will summarize that experience by saying that family time saved our family.
I'd also like to say there are a number of components to our story that adds to the complexity. One of the things that you may need to know is William is white and I'm black.
I'm black.
And I'm white. We found ourselves, before we were married, in a conversation with our brother-in-law, my brother-in-law, his brother, around race. And as a result of that conversation, that was particularly upsetting and intense, but ended lovingly, I actually Googled what to do if you suspect the person you're in love with, family, is racist. And you can Google that. And what actually pops up is Braver Angels. So cheerfully, I brought it to William, and we started in on workshops and ways in which we could have dialogue that was intense, because I couldn't imagine not marrying the man I love because our families couldn't figure out how to discuss challenging conversations. And so through Braver Angels, we not only learned some skills around race and relationships and talking with red and blue, but we also learned some skills around talking around politics. And as a result of that, we put together as William mentioned, family time. In family time, we introduced our young adults from the ages of 30 to 18, we have 5, to the political discourse and the ways in which you can, as a young person, engage and enter into conversations that may be intense and challenging. And our boys in particular learn those skills. And later today, during the special gathering, we will share with anyone that wants to know how to engage young adults in political discussions that may be heated rather than having them opt out and tune out. The end of the story is really important because at the end of this story, at the end of quarantine, our young adults were ready to re-enter the world and engage in a host of conversations equipped to have dialogue and discussion that was meaningful and purposeful. This is a direct result of our relationship to Braver Angels. And so we stand here as a testimony and as witnesses to the transformation that Braver Angels can, in fact, do and has had on our family in love and in dialogue. We are very grateful and thankful for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for sharing
You're not
your
on yet.
Hello? I want to thank you so much for sharing your story. We're so glad that that two of the children could be with us today.
Now, in this next section, we're going to focus on proof points of the impact in community. In other words, what are local members of Braver Angels doing to make a difference in their community? We wanted to get the conversation started here by using 3 important situations. At the end of the plenary, we're going to tell you about where you can see multiple other examples. So I'm going to introduce 3 teams, and as we do, we want the teams to come up on stage. The first team is about an issue that impacts towns and cities across America: homelessness. Darcy Crossman will tell us about how the El Sobrante Alliance is creating action on this issue in their local community. So Darcy, would you please come up on stage? The second example of action concerns school communities. And by communities, we mean school boards, administrators, teachers, parents, as well as teens. You've probably seen the scenes on the news: toxic polarization writ large. We should and can do better using the Braver Angel way. So Mary TV and V. Cangiano are co-creators of the Braver School Communities group at BA. They have helped create an impressive set of resources and conditions in this area, and I'd like to invite them up to the stage. So Mary and V, can you come up? And then finally, for our final team, let's turn to one of the other areas of our national experience where it seems there's the least amount of hope: elected representatives. How many of us have turned off the news because we just can't bear to see our representatives constantly attacking each other? Well, it doesn't have to be that way. And we have a proof point thanks to the work of the next team. Doug Techner and Patricia Higgins are former members of the New Hampshire legislature. Now, working with Bill and many others, they have made impressive progress at progressing the mission in the State House of New Hampshire. So impactful that the Speaker of the House is tweeting about it. So Doug and Patricia, will you come up?
You're hanging
For Dorsey. All right, you ready? All right. So we're going to have each team tell their story. Since I think we're running a little bit late, we're going to shoot for about 5 minutes each or so, right? And we'll just go down the line. We're going to start with homelessness, which is a major problem. And Darcy, I'd like you to tell your story, but I know there's probably one question that is really on the minds of everyone in this room. Where the hell is El Sobrante, California?
So El Sobrante is a small unincorporated community in Northern California, about 12 minutes from Berkeley and about 30 minutes across the bay to San Francisco. And we have our biggest city we share a lot of borders with is Richmond, California, and Richmond is part of this story.
All right.
So as you can see on the map, right?
We got a map.
Okay. We're in a level 5 fire zone district. This is the highest level. Our community is at great risk for wildfire. And we also have our share of homeless population. California has 30% of the homeless population. And unlike our major cities that have homeless camping out in the tents on the streets, our homeless are on the hillside and they're starting fires, and the fires can get out of control. And the community was so concerned about this that some people were thinking of leaving, you know. So I think we can go to the next slide.
We have, okay,
Or you want to go to
that's fine.
Okay. So this just shows you the extent of the problem. In LA, 54% of the fires are started by homeless encampments. So we had tried to form an alliance in our area, and we struggled to gain reds. But this issue was so urgent that the community, they were motivated to come together and see what they could do to come to common solutions. We had a Braver Angels Common Ground workshop in June of 21, and we had a follow-up town hall in August. And we can go to the next slide.
All right, so we're on that one.
So this was a great event. I think of it as like democracy in action, because we got together in small groups and we worked on these 4 goals that we had come up with in the Common Ground workshop. And we got to present them to the county supervisor. And everybody said, I would come to another one of these. It was hybrid, which was difficult, but we were glad we had it. A lot of people wanted to go on Zoom because of COVID scare. But we did have a good turnout. We had a catered lunch there. And we worked on 4 goals. And the 4 goals were how to move the homeless from the high fire areas, how to ensure mutual accountability from both the homeless encampment point of view and the county. And what my co-chair, Pam, really was bugged about was the issue of how in California we have housing first and everybody gets lumped together. Shelters are underfunded, but there's so many different reasons people become homeless, and how are we addressing all those separate needs? So that was a big goal of ours, was try to figure that out. And then finally, this was an issue that we were having difficulty bringing the homeless into the process. So we were struggling with how to involve them as a stakeholder.
Mm-hmm.
So out of that, we formed a little action group, and it met together for about 2 years. And as Pam likes to say, at the end of 2 years, we knew a lot about the problem. We knew that it wasn't getting solved. We knew billions were being spent on it. We knew the shelters were unfunded, and we knew the homeless people didn't want to go to the shelters. It was dangerous. So at this point, I need to say that I'm also part of David Lapp's We the People's Project, and they lent a lot of support for us in all these efforts we had. And Rita Chisholm sent this video to us, and it took a red-leaning approach to the issue. And it was the first time we'd seen these harm reduction policies where needles are given out to everybody. And at the end of the video...
And you have about 2 minutes.
Oh, no. At the end of the video, we saw this model called Community First Village. And it's beautiful, 52 acres of tiny homes and RVs, communal kitchens, art studio, amphitheater, and everything they do is bringing community together. They're focused on the chronically homeless, people with multiple disabilities, traumas, mental illness, drug abuse. They take anybody that's been on the streets for about a year. But what was beautiful about this was that, we found Steve used to drive the food truck, and he told us about this symposium that they were having. And we learned that in order to replicate it, we need to go to the symposium and learn about it. So we got 9 people to come. Stakeholders, Vice Mayor of Richmond, City Council member of Richmond, 2 NGOs addressing the issue, 3 of our alliance members, a former member of the task force, and a woman that lives on a bus.
And this is a picture of them, yeah, at Community First.
And here we are at Community First.
And then you're going to do your last slide.
Okay, so final slide. There's a lot to this story, of course. So we really want the community to be inspired by this model and do a little pilot, do something that can show its effectiveness. So we're going to have a follow-up town hall, and it's going to be probably the beginning of October. And we're going to present this model, and we're going to have the county supervisor come back, and the council members, the staff that couldn't go because there was a Texas ban in Richmond. And,
California's loss. Okay.
Yeah, so we're also going to have 2 movie nights where we're going to show documentary, we're going to show clips, and we're going to have a Q&A. Braver Angels even has to do the Q&A because there is political factionalism there.
All right.
And
your final statement is?
The final statement is that Braver Angels gave us the tools to really start finding something that might work for our community.
Barbara, you want to lead us on the school community one?
Yeah. So now we'd like to turn to schools, the students, parents, boards, educators. So Mary and V, would you introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm V. Cangiano. I live in New Haven, Connecticut, where I'm involved with the Connecticut Alliance. And I've been volunteering with Braver Angels since about 2021. Not long after I started volunteering, my daughter was entering high school. And so I was very intrigued with what Mary was doing with the Education Network, which began about 1.5 years ago, it sounds like. So started attending those meetings and was really taken with the power and impact that BA moderators and volunteers were having in school communities across the country, really. And thought that I'd like to get involved and help grow that initiative. And so in this slide, we have 2 examples of the work that the Braver School Communities Initiative, which is what we're calling it, thanks to Steve for suggesting communities. So one is work with teens. You can see the students at the top. We do depolarizing within workshops tailored for teens and a number of fishbowl and other activities. And at the bottom, you'll see some adults. And that really represents the work in school communities that we're doing beyond the work with teens. So that's parents and teachers, administrators, and even doing work to prevent the kinds of rancorous school board meetings that we've started to hear about. So I've mostly been engaged in helping create some infrastructure and support for this team so we can grow, bring in some more volunteers as well. But I'm going to turn it over to Mary to talk about the next slides, because Mary has been sort of the brains behind creating curriculum and delivering programs in schools.
Okay, thank you. It's been exciting to say that the workshops with teens and parents started out with teens reaching out to us. There was a yearbook controversy at a high school, a well-known, well-respected high school, and it had pictures of Trump and Biden, and it was compare and contrast, and I saw it, and it was very biased. And so former students of mine contacted me. Somehow they knew I was on Braver Angels. And as a result, a team of moderators, we did a skills for bridging the divide geared for teens for all 600 high school seniors at that school. It took months of planning because we had to interact with, and it was during COVID, we had to interact with parents and teachers and community members to get them on board. You don't walk into a school and just show up. Another event, and I think your daughter was involved, Josie Reek, a high school senior in Washington, D.C., was really dismayed at how a student at her liberal-leaning high school, treated a conservative student. And even though Josie didn't share some of the beliefs of the student, she was really dismayed at how the school handled and treated her. And so she contacted me and said, what can we do? I've done the depolarizing within with adults. Can we do it with teens? And she became a mentor working with me, and she organized and gathered teens from all over the country. We did a Zoom event. And then there was another student, James, during COVID, in the very early lockdown days, he wanted student input on what happened when kids went back to school. They did a fishbowl with me with teens all across the county. They presented to the school board members, and Braver Angels was mentioned more than once at the live school board meeting, presented on television to all the community. And the decisions were made to have both in-person and online learning for all the rest of that COVID time based on the student impact. Okay, the next slide. The Braver Angel Way really works. Students often express that they really don't like what they see in politics because they see adults behaving badly. And they were amazed at what they learned. And we had a whole bunch of these Post-its as takeaways. And real quickly, they said, we didn't know you could have honest conversations about difficult conversations calmly. And what I love about this work is it gives them so much hope. And then next slide, I'm zooming along. So what I also love about Braver Angels is we don't shy away from tough conversations. You know, I've done a Common Ground workshop about reproductive and pro-life, pro-choice. These students from Birmingham, Alabama, yet again found us. They called us and said, will you come to Birmingham, Alabama, and do a Common Ground workshop on having sex education in the schools? Okay, that was not a light topic, but we got out there. They actually helped raise some of the money to fly us out there, and be Braver Angels balanced with that. And one student said in the workshop, I want to know the difference between giving a girl a compliment and having it be sexual harassment. Another one said, I want to find out how to stop the spread of chlamydia in our city because it's one of the highest rates anywhere. And Youth Serve won a major award for the planning that the students did to get us there and to have the event. And then the last thing I want to share in terms of the school community work. So I did a Common Ground workshop online about what rights and responsibilities parents should have in public schools, because that is a very hot topic. And parents from Lower Merion, Pennsylvania were involved in that workshop. And they're saying we are on the brink of really falling apart as a community. So we worked together, parents and me. I got permission from Bill Doherty and the development team to look at the Depolarizing Within workshop and make it geared for school communities. So the red blue has been taken out. All the examples are school hot topic examples. And
your final statement.
And my final, and I'm right there. My final statement is, we would love to get you involved in promoting work in communities because it's really exciting.
All right, now let's turn our attention to the State House of New Hampshire, and let's have Doug and Patricia talk about that.
Well, first let me say I'm off script. Being up on this stage is really amazing to look out at this group. You guys rock. It's amazing. Wow. My name's Doug Teschner. I'm the New England Regional Leader. And the slide you're seeing is our most recent Red-Blue workshop with 23 state legislators, which is our current highlight.
So my journey with Braver Angels started when Travis Tripodi, who may be in the room, stand up, introduced me, a former Democratic state legislator, to Doug, a former GOP state legislator, with a challenge. He said, I think New Hampshire should be the first state to have for the state legislature to have a red-blue workshop. And I thought, yeah, right. And he said, we have 400 members of our House of Representatives. And if we can't get 6 reds and 6 blues to sit down together, we should just fold up and go home.
So, relationships is a key. And by the way, there is a Braver Politics workshop today on this very topic, how to build relationships with your legislators. I'll be there. But there's really, you start where you better have a vision. What are you trying to do? We got it on a piece of paper. This is what we're trying to do. What's Braver Angels? What's Braver Politics? What's the Brave Angel way? What are the workshops we can offer? Then we begin to work, once we have the vision, begin to work the relationships.
And besides relationships, we've just decided that the other key work concept in our work is persistence. Doug had a relationship with the Speaker of the House and the Chief of Staff. He renewed that. He worked it. Phone calls, emails, and then he showed up in person to get commitments, and then he continued contact to make sure that they were fulfilled.
Finally, after many calls, many being very persistent, we got our first Red Blue workshop in December 2021. I got a commitment to do it, and I called up Bill Doherty and I said, I got a date, Bill. I sure hope you can come. But we've also done more. Now, we've worked with election officials doing workshops on managing difficult conversations with voters through the Secretary of State's office. We had 275 of our local elected officials attended that training. We also had a training, we've also worked at the municipal level with the Lebanon, New Hampshire City Council. And we also had a legislative table at the new legislative orientation where we got to meet new legislators.
And at that, we promoted a workshop that was going to be held the following month in the House. The Speaker was not only engaged with this, but named it a continuing education and allowed representatives to claim mileage to attend. Bill flew out to New Hampshire. He spoke in the chamber with 100 representatives, and half of them were Republican, half were Democratic.
So the next slide, we have a couple of the quotes from some of the representatives. I'm not going to read them because we don't have a lot of time, but we got representatives on both sides that are saying this is powerful, this is important. We need to develop relationships across party lines so we can work together. Now, on the other slides, you can see we have a picture of there's Bill Doherty. Now, that's not the Speaker of the House up there. That's Bill Doherty on the Speaker rostrum. We mentioned that we did a workshop. We've done the Red Blues. We've done 2 of those with the legislators, small, intimate. But we did 100 reps managing difficult conversations with colleagues. 100 showed up. Bill's standing up there. The next slide shows the Red Blue. Again, a small, more intimate gathering. But we've got a model for this now in Braver Politics, how to do a Red Blue workshop. It's a little bit different than the ones we do for citizens. And lastly, as the last slide, as Steve already mentioned, we've got the Speaker of the House who's agreeing to who's tweeted out about our work. Our next step, and this is where persistence really pays off. You got to keep calling, pushing. We finally now have a caucus. It's in the infant stages.
And your final statement is?
They're calling themselves the Granite Bridge Legislative Alliance, and we're looking for more work that's going to be driven by them as opposed to us just having to bug them all the time.
Please thank the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
All right. Now we got to get to the right place. All right, hold on.
So let's review.
Advance one.
Oh, sorry. Let's review where we are. You've heard about the braver citizens who fill our volunteer ranks, thousands of them in many different roles, more of them here on the slide. And remember, we do need more volunteers. So if you find the urge to help in any of these roles or have ideas for new ones, please talk to us or someone in your state. They're all accessible on the Whova app as well as through the website. So we talked at a deep level about the actions of individuals in a family, the Fergusons, as well as 3 separate teams and communities. But you might be thinking, how's that going to change America? And that's a great question. Thank you for that question. It's a good BA way question, speaking fully and fearlessly. So we're going to try to answer it now. We're going to talk next about our strategy to address that challenge drawn from our annual report. We're going to focus on how our field volunteers contribute to that strategy and then foreshadow how the field contributions tie to the Braver Network plenary that you're going to hear from this afternoon. Make sense? So, America's polarization crisis has been building for decades, and it's now deeply rooted in our major institutions. Turning the tide on this is an enormous task. It requires repair in citizen-to-citizen relationships in a nation of 260 million adults, as well as meaningful changes to the rules and practices of many of our major institutions. So no single organization, no matter how successful, will be powerful enough to turn and heal this divide. If our aim is truly to strengthen our democratic republic, our only practical strategy is to help ignite and shape what scholars and others call a social movement and what we at Braver Angels call a civic renewal movement.
Now there's a journey to civic renewal. It starts with each of us taking on the challenge of deciding to be part of the solution. Most people in this room have taken this step, and thank each and every one of you for doing that. Whether you're a braver citizen or in the Braver Network, the journey starts with this step. The journey then progresses using the Braver Angel Way. The way is mapped out on the annual report and on our website. It's a set of principles and tools for building capacities and the habits of good citizenship. For example, speaking fearlessly, but also with respect and according the other speakers the dignity of good faith. The goal here is to continue to increase the critical mass of practitioners in many levels of the community. We then take our skills, our experiences, and our fellow citizens into action at the personal and local level. We show change is possible, that there's demonstrable hope for the future. We share our best practices as well as how to avoid our worst. Nothing expands the mission more than seeing proof of a better community via the Braver Angel Way in action. And then finally, we address bringing change to the anchoring institutions in America. As we saw in a previous slide, there's a large deficit of trust in the institutions of government. We must turn that around to ignite a civic renewal movement. That's something Braver citizens can help do, but more importantly, that's what a Braver Network can do. So the first 3 steps of this journey are centered around citizens in a local community. It's focused on grassroots organizations and going deep into the fabric of community at a personal level. Of course, they work to and contribute to changing the institutional norms, but change is personal at its bedrock.
By word and by deed, our members and our volunteers, expanding in an ever-increasing network, bring the power of the Braver Angels Way to the challenges of our time. It is this connection at the bedrock of our humanity that can bring the force of change to the anchoring institutions of public life. So, before we close this plenary session, we'd like to give a few examples of how the two elements work together, the grassroots and the network. The afternoon plenary will add more insights and a unique perspective.
We begin with an active project with Common Sense American, or CSA for short. The executive director, Keith Allred, is with us today. Hi, Keith. Hi, Steve. CSA is a national organization with over 50,000 members reflecting America across the political spectrum who bring common sense to American politics in 4 steps. They identify issues which CSA membership think have the most promise for acting in a bipartisan support. CSA staff then develops thorough briefing papers on those issues. Then their members weigh in on those issues, and Keith and CSA shares those views with the U.S. Congress. Now, we have a joint project at this, connecting the national outreach with the local communities at the alliance level. The first step in this joint project is for CSA to do what CSA does best, engage at the national level, selecting issues that are important to the U.S. Congress. The second step is then to engage at local Braver Angel alliances using CSA-supplied briefing materials. At meetings like this, the alliances review, discuss, and establish common values, solutions, and concerns using the well-tested structure of a Braver Angels Common Ground workshop. We then share the locally generated perspective with the national CSA organization. The alignment, or lack thereof, is incorporated into future briefings to Congress. This helps progress the legislative agenda and expand understanding of the issue from many different perspectives.
So, we now present a video from Mary Jo McGuire, the incoming president of the National Association of Counties. Commissioner McGuire has been active with Braver Angels at the state level in Minnesota. She regrets that she can't be here with us in person, but she sent this video to share their excitement and plans for the future.
Hello, Braver Angels community. I'm excited to be asked to speak to you today about the importance of the Braver Angels Network. I am Mary Jo McGuire, and I'm a Ramsey County Commissioner in Ramsey County, Minnesota. I am honored to be able to talk to you about how Braver Angels has really helped impact my work. I'm also president of our statewide Association of Minnesota Counties and incoming president of our National Association of Counties. It is in all of these capacities that we need to work together amongst ourselves to really benefit America's communities. It is in all of our vision and mission statements that we strengthen America's counties and really work together to enhance our residents' quality of life. I first learned about Braver Angels through my friend Bill Doherty, who was a professor at the University of Minnesota when I was in the state legislature. He was talking to me about this important work, and I said I wanted to learn more. And so I went to one of the community meetings where we were paired up with people that felt differently than we did. It was in that conversation that I thought this was really powerful work, and I wanted to bring it to my work at the county. So I've been really lucky that Bill has been available and Braver Angels has been available to work with counties. We now do work together at the county level, and I'm hoping to bring him to the national level. The Association of Minnesota Counties has done a lot of work with Bill Doherty and Braver Angels. We started conversations between metro and rural commissioners where we had conversations about finding our mutual interests. And then Braver Angels and Bill Doherty spoke at our County Government 101, which is the first conference that our new commissioners go to, where we learn that the importance of working together. And then I was recently at a talk called Managing Difficult Conversations, where we continue to learn the skills of Braver Angels in really making things work together between all of us. Braver Angels is a really great organization to work with counties. We so appreciate the work that they do with us. As we know, we're a very divided nation, and we see that in our everyday work. But there are ways that we can come together and work on the issues that we care about, and Braver Angels can help us get there. I'm very excited about the work that Braver Angels and counties can do together. Bill Doherty and Braver Angels has already done so much work with the Association of Minnesota Counties, and I'm looking forward to the work that we can do at the national level. I'm excited that when I become president in July of this year, that Bill will be coming to my national board meeting and speaking to all of us about the work that he does. This is so important in bringing us together and really strengthening America's communities.
Now, the final video we want to show is from another long-term collaborator with Braver Angels, the Citizens Climate Lobby. Let's hear from the president of the organization, Madeline Parra.
Citizens Climate Lobby's mission is to build the political will for a livable world. And we do that by empowering ordinary people from all walks of life and from all political backgrounds to work with our government on enacting strong policy on climate change. We have over 400 chapters and 200,000 supporters in the United States. A key part of our work has been to support our volunteers to do the extraordinary things that they do and to build connections with partners like Braver Angels. We feel so strongly that the best and most enduring climate policy is going to come from bipartisan cooperation. And so we work equally with Democrats and Republicans in Congress. And that, of course, then means that we constantly have to work on our capacity to transcend the divisiveness of our national politics. Braver Angels helps us do that through its programming. In fact, Braver Angels has provided training to many, many of our volunteers with workshops such as Depolarizing Within and Bridging the Divide on Climate Solutions. We have a national action team that provides a place for people in Citizens Climate Lobby to connect to this ongoing collaboration with Braver Angels. The communication skills that our membership has gained and the openness to the validity of ideas from people in both political parties has helped us to get better at reaching out to people in our communities, as well as at working with people in our government. So far, our work with Braver Angels has focused chiefly on communication skills and building respect for each other across party lines, and that's been just great. I'm really excited also, though, about Braver Angels' new, deeper focus on civic engagement and renewable. We are so pleased to be looking ahead to collaborating further with Braver Angels to empower everybody to be models of how to engage with our government. We think that CCL's respectful, thoughtful, and persistent work with Congress is just what this country needs. And based on our experience in collaborating with Braver Angels, I anticipate that we'll reach new levels in our effectiveness at empowering people. So congratulations, Braver Angels, on your convention, and we look forward to continuing to work together.
So if you'd like more information about many of the topics we presented today, I recommend the annual report. This QR code will lead you there, and there should be a copy of the QR code in your packet. There's a few copies, hard copies, in the bookstore around the corner as well. This was a real joint project from Reds, Blues, and Purples working together to produce this information. And if the actions that you've seen, the experiences that you've seen today has piqued your interest, we want you to be aware of the poster session that's in the Hauser Athletic Complex. It's a short walk from this room, and there you'll find over 24 posters. Remember science fair projects? That kind of poster. Of impactful projects done by individuals, alliances, and communities. It's a great opportunity to understand more about our field teams, and we'd like to make a call to action to all of you to go see the poster session. If you go today between 4:30 and 5:30, the people who put together the posters will be there if you want to ask questions, but the posters are available to see anytime. Really don't pass up this chance to see all the ways we can progress the mission.
All right, and then the final thing we want to do. Everything we talked about today is supported by an inspiring array of people behind the scenes. They are the unsung heroes of the day. The field organization just could not progress the mission without them. We can't thank them all individually in this plenary, although we did take a pretty good stab at it, But we recognize one. We can recognize one who has the extraordinary in his support of the field organization. And for those efforts, the Office of Field Operations and the field leaders overall would like to recognize Andrew Stillman, the Chief Technical Officer. Andrew, can you stand up? Andrew, I hope you're in the room. There he is, okay. All right. And one other thing, we would also like to thank Andrew's wife, Jennifer, who's here with us today, for this fabulous picture. I never knew dogs could learn to sail. And for loaning Andrew her laptop during critical Zoom meetings.
So we hope we'll see you at the poster session where we can answer questions.
And thank you for your attention. Let's get together to work on progressing the mission in your community. Thank you very much.
That was so amazing. Thank you so much, Steve and Barbara. There's a lot of work being done. We just heard a lot about what's happening in the field, and the field team is doing just incredible work, more than I knew was even possible. So again, thanks to the field team. So excited. At this point, I think we're going to bring up Kieran, if he's nearby, so he can give us the logistical details for what we're going to do next this morning.
Thank you. All right, day 3. So I have a bunch of announcements. Please wait until they're done before you get up. Just the first, a reminder, please hang on to your room card. The college will need that back when you leave. So I'll give you some breakout instructions. First, if you're a delegate who's going on the battlefield tour today, as soon as I stop talking, you can head outside. That guy over there, that's Michael with the yellow paper. He will lead you to the bus to go on the tour, which is right outside. If your breakout is in McCreary Hall, which includes Dara Auditorium with a D and Bowen Auditorium, you can go with Steve. Steve is over there holding that sign straight back. If you are in Masters Hall, which includes Mara Auditorium with an M, you can find Haley. Haley is over there. She can lead you. If you're in Gladfelter Hall, you can find Eric. Eric is over there in that corner, and he can lead you. If you're going to the debate, which is about whether or not we should re-elect Trump, you can find UA. Oh, excuse me. Today's morning's debate is, should we abolish DEI? We're getting to the one about Trump, don't worry. It'll happen. You can find UA and head straight over to the atrium. And if you're in one of the CUB classrooms, that's CUB, that means College Union Building, that's this building. If you're waiting for the Christian nationalism breakout, that will be held here in this ballroom. So it is 9:54 a.m., so you have a little bit of time to have a break, use the bathroom, get a coffee, and then please meet your leader and head over to breakouts, which will begin at 10:30 a.m. sharp. And then we'll have lunch and see you guys right back here at 1:15 p.m. for afternoon plenary.
Question from Rena. Question from Rena.
Question, yes.